What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we need to talk to you about SoFi. Another interesting day on our hands. I want to give you an overview of some of the current data points, what shorts did, as well as a very good opportunity for SoFi in the foreseeable future. Before we get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi did go down 1.85%, kind of relentless throughout the day. You do have shorts returning some shares right around this time period. So I'm going to break that down for you in a second. But 22.4 million shares being traded, 30.7 is the average. These are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. Kind of evenly divided, half buys, half sells. So it is fair to assume based on this that majority of the volume was linked to shorting as well as algorithmic trading. So it's kind of back to being that. There was no official news from SoFi, no SEC filings, nothing like that. But if you do pop over and kind of look at all the news that's been coming out, anyone referring to SoFi, it's usually negative. So a lot more negative articles are coming out. The latest one did come out from 𝗪𝗧𝗛𝗪. So I kind of found this rather interesting because it does say, warning, don't buy SoFi stock before you know this one key risk. These are some of the key high points or the key points that you need to know. But in essence, this is why I don't trust a lot of these kind of places such as 𝗪𝗧𝗛𝗪, because a couple days prior, even Noto did post saying that 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗛𝗪 did list SoFi as the safest bank in July of 2024. So it's very just like, I don't know, wishy-washy. And a lot of these kind of articles, things like that, are just for clicks. But nonetheless, a lot of these have been coming out fairly negative. And so I think it's just piggybacking off of the broader sentiment right now. But one thing that I wanted to kind of share with you that did come out, I believe, today, it's a very good opportunity for SoFi in the foreseeable future because SoFi is good at really enticing member growth through high APYs and stuff like that. But this Chase's plan to charge for checking accounts and how consumers might respond. So ultimately, it looks like 86 million people under IBKR. You can see the full article, but still there's going to be a big move. Not everyone, that's just stupid to think that every single one will move, but a good percentage of them will obviously be looking for another bank, and this is where SoFi will be able to really shine. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. But beside all that, let's go over some of the data points. Today's shorts did return 2.81 million shares. Like I mentioned, they were slowly increasing throughout the day up until pretty much power hour. That's where they did return a lot. I don't know if that had something to do with Powell's speech coming out tomorrow, so that could obviously, maybe they're worried about some positive backlash or positive byproduct of that, if that makes sense. But 17.9% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 185.81 million shares overall are being shorted. Utilization 69.03. Short score, so the higher the number, the higher the likelihood of a squeeze happening, is 74.73. And then cost to borrow average, kind of in line with Friday, and that is 0.91%. You do see that cost to borrow minimum back to normal. So whatever broker out there, I think it was last couple of trading days, they kind of stopped incentivizing. So in case you guys don't know, there's always a broker, at least one, that pays people to short SoFi, and you can always tell that based on the cost to borrow minimum being negative. It's usually 0.2, anywhere from 0.2 to 0.25. Nothing really crazy, but still that would really incentivize shorting, in my opinion. No new analyst ratings, nothing like that so far today. So last one did come out. I'll give you a quick overview of that, so pop over here. So last one did come out right 6 days ago. $10 price target, Needham Kyle, who has a 44% success rating. If history is going to repeat itself based on last earnings, there was roughly around 2 or 3 analysts that did give ratings at least about 2 weeks prior to their upcoming earnings. So doesn't really logically make sense for that to occur, but it did happen. So this might happen this time around. So maybe this week, especially with CPI coming out, this is where analysts might give some ratings associated to SoFi and stuff like that. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Aside from all of this, looking at options, 2.8 million in calls, 1.76 million in puts. Sentiment wise, 54% of all the options being done today were bearish, so clearly anticipating more of a pullback. Of the call options that were purchased so far today, there's a consensus for it to be above 650. But then again, that's probably, especially shorts at the beginning part of the day when they were increasing, just shorts hedging, and then looking at puts, more of a consensus below 650 and then even 6 for the week prior. But just to give you a quick overview of the open interest though, because this is clearly what matters, right now for the July 12th expiry date, you have 11,000 at that 650 strike price, 21,000 at that 7, and then 10,000 at that 750. So it's not that crazy of a wall. So if there is some good momentum, yes, SoFi could easily get above that, but I think there's just a lot of downward pressure right now, and SoFi's sentiment isn't all that great. I think it's just a lot of people are looking at SoFi and seeing many other stocks out there and seeing a lot more opportunity. So even just comparing it to the S&P, S&P over this last 1 year is up 26.33%. SoFi is pretty much the mere opposite. Looking at the 6 months, pretty much the exact same thing. So 17% in the green, 21% in the red. So I think just people are looking for the best opportunity. And right now, even though SoFi is hitting home run earnings, it's broken based on the price action. But I think generally we know that at this stage in the game. Right now, with it closing at or $6.35, it is trading between these 2 points, so this S1 and the pivot. So $6.28 is going to be the very strong support. On the flip side, 675 will be that next strong resistance / target. And I'm looking at the 1 day, so that's very strong support and resistance points. Looking at the 4 hour, just more so kind of smaller support and resistance points. 633, so it did bounce off of that general area for the low today. And then $6.48 is going to be that next strong resistance and support. So kind of just take note of both different support and resistance zones for all of that. But in essence, I think SoFi right now is just consolidating. As long as it doesn't break below this point right here, so that's 620, then in theory, things could still be moving up. So it could still be in like a consolidation zone. But yeah, it's not necessarily the best to see this price action happen when almost every other stock for the most part is really going up. And I think right now, even just looking at the optimism associated to rate cuts for the September meeting, I do frequently bring this up. Actually, I'll just hit refresh right here. So for the September meeting, September 18th, there is a 70.8% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. So I think the market has determined that September there's going to be at least one rate cut. And so that's kind of fueling the broader market, right? The monetary policy, even though the market's focused so much, a little bit too much on that, I think that's going to be one of the biggest driving factors for a lot of growth stocks, including SoFi. But I don't know, SoFi is just one of those very difficult stocks to kind of predict. Number of retail investors have been getting in over this last couple of days though, so that's kind of a positive thing if that makes sense. Stochastic, you do see it very oversold, so it is at 24. No real defined trend starting of a nice kind of minor bullish deviation, but still not really much. So let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments below. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What have you been doing with SoFi? And do you think that this is going to be positive? So Chase charging for checking accounts, do you think that's going to be really good for SoFi? Do you think that's going to help? Or do you think like this is going to be nothing? What's your viewpoint? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And with all that, appreciate all of you watching.